is collapsing, and that's not so good. And health censorship through their licensing bodies. So we've got to talk about free speech. The free speech stuff is wrapped up in the gender ideology stuff, is wrapped up in the health stuff, is wrapped up in the Palestinian riots, and there's so many things that are kind of closely interconnected. The beginning of the show feels top heavy, let's say. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We have to start in Guelph, my hometown. And I saw this while scrolling this morning, doing my morning rounds of checking in on what's gone on since yesterday, right? And I don't go to Cam Guthrie's feed every day, and he doesn't post every day on Twitter anymore because he gets a lot of pushback now, and he doesn't like that very much. So all of that is interesting. But today when I went to the feed, I saw this, but it was a screenshot, not a link. And I thought, oh, that's not good. And then I went to the Guelph Today website, and the homepage on the Guelph Today website on mobile anyway it seemed just text links. And I didn't see anything about downtown cameras. And this was posted March 7th. And so today is the 10th. And Guelph Today says, downtown cameras won't be monitored 24/7, says Guelph police. You see it in the movies where there's people watching screens and they're watching people go shopping. That's not what we're doing at all, says Detective Sergeant Chris Probst. By the end of the month, like March 24, this month, Guelph police hope to have 19 cameras ready to be set up in downtown Guelph. I live in Guelph, and this is the first I've heard about it, and they're ready to set up the cameras in downtown Guelph now? I don't want to live in a Chinese city. What the heck? But the officer leading the charge on the new program wants to assure the public that those cameras aren't going to be manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No, they'll just be recording 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In fact, having eyes on the cameras will be the last thing on their mind. Yeah, right now, but I'm sure that in not a very long period of time. Have you seen Hot Fuzz? The Hot Fuzz doctrine is, yes, there's a conspiracy, and yes, they damn well want to kill you. You see it in the movies where there's people watching, like in Hot Fuzz, where there's people watching screens and they're watching people go shopping. That's not what we're doing at all, says Probst, who is heading up the Community Safety Operations Center, the CSOC. It's for your safety, comrade. So you can't even question this. If you question this, you're questioning public safety. How dare you? And that's questioning public health, and you can't do that. Told those who attended Wednesday's public consultation session at police headquarters. I didn't know about this public consultation. I'm blocked from the city of Guelph Twitter feed improperly. I'm a tax-paying citizen here, and they shouldn't be allowed to block me, but they claim that they are allowed to block me. And in order to get movement on that, I have to actually bring a legal case. Like, I have to take it to court in order to get them to block me because they've refused. And that carries a whole nest of other things that I have to keep in mind. And I don't necessarily, Twitter doesn't matter that much to me, but I mean, it's the principle of the thing, regardless. Anyway, on to this. He said officers will be too busy with call management portion of the center. Cameras will only be utilized in the case of a serious incident, and officers need extra eyes when responding to an incident. Otherwise, the cameras won't be monitored. When a serious incident happens, they will immediately have access to live streaming footage, and they'll be able to update responding officers with real-time updates. So they'll be able to watch on cameras all over downtown Guelph, and they'll be able to communicate with officers in real time. This is a nightmare. We're anticipating it's going to lead to successful conclusions to these type of incidents, the serious incidents. And a serious incident can be designated by these people as anything they want it to be, right? Police Chief Kobe emphasized that this center will not take away any foot patrols in downtown Guelph. This is an additional support to our citizens in downtown. He said there is no way this is in no way meant to indicate a reduction in that support. A number of business owners were in attendance, and top of mind centered around privacy. This should not go forward. This should not be allowed. There's an opportunity for abuse in this, absolutely, said Richard Overland, co-owner of Envy Kitchen and Bar, but I don't think it's anybody's intention here. It doesn't matter what their intention is right now. Like, it doesn't matter right now. It's for your safety, comrade, right now, because it's fictional. When it comes into operation, that's when they'll start doing bad things, right? Their intentions then will change. I think they've set up the safeguards to stop that from happening. No, they haven't. What's the definition of a serious incident? Liars. He said he thinks it's a great idea and will help instill confidence in people that have lost some confidence in downtown Guelph. How about we deport the illegals and the criminals, and we put the criminals behind bars? How about we do that? How about people who are smoking drugs and being nuisances are dealt with? How about the tent cities that are in the downtown core of Guelph? It's not fictional, it's real, it's down there now, are removed. How about that? Instead of putting cameras on innocent citizens. This is the action solution situation, right? Like the problem action solution, right? So they've created a problem. They've got a public reaction. We need safety downtown. And the solution is cameras, everybody. It's going to be super great because you're going to have some safety by the cameras. Like, sure, that's not going to do a darn thing. Oh, and when we see, like, no, I'm sorry, we can't release the CCTV footage because it shows something that goes against the narrative. So sorry about that. We can't do that. China's CCTV footage was instrumental in starting the COVID panic, right? With people just falling down in the middle of the street. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. They lied and they lied and they lied. If police need footage, back to the article, any recorded footage will be held for 72 hours. I do not believe this. They don't have any kind of legal oversight. They don't have any rights to do this. I don't know if there's a law saying they cannot do this, but I don't think that I think this violates people's basic rights. This is egregious and unbelievable. I'm very, very shocked about this. I'm very upset by this, by the way. If police need footage for evidence purposes, they'll be able to save the footage. So it's well more than the 72 hours. When ready, the cameras might also be used proactively at events such as St. Patrick's Day and homecoming celebrations. We just want the safety of our clients, and I think it's going to be amazing, said Pina, the owner of Aqua Salon. The safety, they're really hard selling this safety, but it's nonsense. It's not safe. They can't promise you safety. Look, this camera watching you keeps you safe. Your camera maybe watching you keeps you safe. Your weapon on your hip maybe keeps you safe. But a police camera watching you from a third-party location that you're unaware of or you don't control, that's not keeping you safe. That's monitoring you to throw you in prison later for, doing something that they didn't want you to do. Honestly, I have zero faith in this. Back to this quote. I think the fact that it's going to make citizens feel safer downtown, knowing that we have the cameras downtown. So if they run into a situation, that we have the ability to go back and look at it. If somebody assaults you and then you protect yourself, you're going to get arrested and they're going to go to the camera and they're going to use that in the court against you. Like, no thanks. No, thank you. I don't want to live in China. And unfortunately, they're making Guelph into China. Here is what is going on with Agenda 2030, and I believe this 5 minutes is worthwhile. Link should be in the description. Sorry, I didn't put the link in the description right away yesterday. It was the weekend, and we have a lot of stuff to do, so I run out right away on the weekend sometimes. So that I put the links in when I got back, but it was hours later. So sorry about that, everyone. They're there now. Anyway, this is what's going on with 2030 Agenda, and this is just a quick taste of this longer video. It's worth it. Here we go.
The three pillars of United Nations Agenda 21 are economy, ecology, and equity, the three E's. And everyone sort of thinks that they know what that means, the idea of social equity. It must mean that, well, everyone's going to have access to clean water and clean air, and no one's property is going to be used as a dumping ground because they are at a poverty level. But really what social equity is about impoverishing huge portions of the population and bringing down the developed nations. Everything that we're looking at now is destined to collapse our economies. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. And what major corporations want in this development is to be able to have full movement of workers without borders or boundaries, to be able to move their goods through without regulations, and to reduce wages. And so this is the goal. So this is what you find with social equity. And of course, economy and ecology is about, these are the three circles: economy, ecology, and social equity. And where they meet in the center is balance. But really that balance is a communitarian balance. So it's not balance of well-being of the people. What it is it's a balance for corporations so that they can exploit and control and have populations in an area, in tightly packed, dense areas so that they can be surveilled and managed. And this is what that balance looks like as far as the development of a totalitarian state.
Sounds like Catherine Austin Fitts, but it's not Catherine Austin Fitts. It's a different person. Link is in the description if you're interested. Unacceptable Sherry. Now, this is riffing on the idea of all of these situations, all of the things that are happening right now, from the war in Ukraine to the Israeli-Palestine to the inflation, taxing farmers, increasing carbon tax in Canada specifically, et cetera, is meant to bankrupt us. This is the effect that the Liberals are having in Canada. This is Unacceptable Sherry. I've said that, but here we go. She says, I'm serious. My paycheck is cut in half by taxes. Then I try and use what's left to buy necessities like gas to go to work or to heat my home. And that has tripled as well. And groceries have skyrocketed. They want me to file income tax and they say I haven't paid enough, so they want more. Then they scoop it all up and line their pockets while supporting other countries. I don't know when we will all just stop paying this slavery. This is slavery, don't you get it? Yeah, the point is to crash the economy. The point is, if they can't have the economy completely crashed, to take all of our money and send it out of the country, borrow all of the money they can possibly convince us to borrow to Slava Ukraini or whatever, or, those poor, whichever affected population we're supposed to feel bad for now, and send more money to them. When there are problems in our country, like, did you know there are Canadian citizens who don't have access to clean drinking water at their house? Like, that's a problem, and we could fix it with a quarter of the money that we sent to Ukraine, probably, right? And nope, we're not doing that. Why not, right? Like, that seems very, very wrong. Michelle, in, again, the line of they're trying to bankrupt us, an example of a business's electrical bill from Orangeville. This Enbridge bill came from a small business in Orangeville, Ontario. In 1 month, they used $600 worth of gas, $601.26 worth of gas. Yet their total bill is $2,235.65. How is this happening? We are being screwed. Yeah. Yep. That's pretty wild, right? That's a lot of money for bullshit charges that, this is to make your business not viable, and then you have to shut it down. And that's not good for small business. Matthew says Canada's economy under Trudeau, the only thing that's growing is government. Meanwhile, the business investment on which productivity, wage growth, and standard of living improvements rely has significantly declined. Yeah, because they're doing a bad job. Well, if you think that the goal of government is to help business and set the stage for business to be successful, then the government is doing a bad job. If you think that the government's job is to bankrupt the citizens into compliance, well, things are coming along tickety-boo, right? Like, they're doing a bang-up job for that. The beer tax thing is a thing that's been bandied about, and I said that it was going to go up almost 5%, 4.7%. And then there was a big lobbying effort. They had Doug and what's his name, Mackenzie, the Canadian guys, Rick Moranis and the other guy. And they were doing, I think it's Rick Moranis. Is it Rick Moranis? Anyway, they were doing the advertisements to counter the tax increase. They had a whole bunch of other celebrity endorsements. Pierre Poilievre mentioned it a couple of times in the House of Commons, which was a big get for them. And like having the opposition leader take up your anti-tax thing is a big deal, and having it brought to the floor of the House of Commons is a big deal. So the government backed down to a degree. They dropped it to 2%. And now Chrystia Freeland is announcing 2%, like keeping it at 2% for the next couple of years. But I think it's a bit of a bait and switch. I don't know how long, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't know how long we've had an inflationary increase to the price of alcohol in Canada. The inflationary increase is just increasing taxes to keep up with that inflation, like push that price up. And so I think that it's a way to sneak this price increase, this regular price increase in, while pretending that you're keeping things nice and cheap. You're not. Beer Canada welcomes the federal government's beer excise tax relief announcement. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, who is not qualified for either of those roles, Chrystia Freeland, and the Minister of Small Business, Richie V, today announced two significant new beer excise duty relief measures for Canadians. First, Canada's annual automatic inflation-based increase to beer, wine, and spirits tax was capped at no more than 2% for 2 years. We had an annual automatic inflation-based increase to beer, wine, and spirits? When did that happen? Second, Additional tax relief was provided for the next 2 years on each brewer's first 1,500 bottles of production, or 1,500 HI1 of annual beer production. I don't know what that means. Today, so they're getting a break, but is it enough? Here's a little bit more color on it. Under an inflation-based indexing formula introduced to Canada's Excise Act in 2017, federal beer taxes were scheduled to increase 4.7% on April 1st, 24. This increase will now be capped at 2% under the expanded progressive beer branding excise duty relief structure announced. All Canadian brewers will be eligible for an 80 to 90% rate reduction on their first 1,500 HL of annual beer production for the next 2 years. So it seems like the government found out what exactly was the problem. And they said, we can't be profitable unless we sell this much beer without taxes, without this tax. And so the government said, okay, you can sell that much beer without that tax, be profitable. And then after that, we'll split and we'll take the tax and you keep whatever the rest of the profit is. It feels like that, which is kind of how China's managed. So China, like you can be a business operating kind of by yourself up to a certain level. And then after you hit a certain level, like Rogers, now you're kind of part of the government too, right? And so in China, that under $1 million or that under that certain level, they're trying to manage their economy very closely. And this kind of reminds me of that. And I don't have any specific examples. It just is this, once you hit a certain level, the government is very, very involved. And underneath that level, it seems like the government is involved to a degree to tinker and make sure that, we get our pound of flesh, and make sure that it's a healthy, big pound of flesh, a meaty pound of flesh. But, we don't want to destroy your industry, because if we destroy your industry, then we can't have any of that pound of flesh that we're after, right? And so that's what it feels like to me. Here's Chrystia Freeland celebrating this, but Flex is highlighting what I want to highlight. He says, this is the Liberal government. Alcohol excise tax is going up by 4.7% on April 1st. It's not, it's going up by 2% now. It's already 50% of the cost of beer. This means beer is taxed at 100% and going up. The problem I have is it's going up by 2% this year, and then 2% next year, and 2% the year after that, and so on and so on in forever. Unless Pierre Poilievre comes in and axes the tax. Will he axe this tax? Why doesn't he axe all the taxes? Isn't there another system? Let me think about this. Is there another system that we could use that would pay for government systems and fund roadways and things like that would not charge citizens an income tax? Yes. In fact, before 1912 or 1913, Canada, before the First World War, Canada didn't have an income tax, right? And then it was supposed to be temporary to pay for the war. And why did we have to, what? Why can't we print money to pay for the war? Oh, because central banking. It's all a big freaking scam, these freaking liars. Beer is taxed at 100% and going up 2% a year. You're welcome. We're keeping taxes low, Liberals. They're not cutting taxes, says Flex. They're lying to you. They're punishing you financially for simply existing. And they're liars. Chrystia Freeland says, local Canadian brewers are valued parts of communities across our country. Today, we're announcing additional relief and support for Canadian brewers by capping the excise duty increase for 2 years. Oh man, after 2 years, it's going up by 5% and maybe more to offset all the losses that they had in the 2 years to deal with those belly aching brewers, right? Jeepers creepers. It's like they just want to make beer or something. Here is what's going on in Ottawa, and there's riots and pro-Palestinian riots. These are paid for riots. And now other people are saying this. This is actually becoming a more mainstream thought. Who's paying for these riots? Because it's clear, just like the LGBT guys, who anybody wanting to perv on kids, anybody wanting to go read dressed up as a woman, like a man dressed up as a woman in a story time situation in a library, they won't be arrested. But the people protesting them will be arrested, right? You see how police are activated against one group and not another. Similar in this situation, right? If this exact protest were against the Canadian government waving flags, they'd have horses and riot paddy wagons loading them up. They'd be arresting people, and those people would be on trial for a long time. Maybe they'd throw them in jail for an extended period of time, like the Coots guys. They would treat these people like dogs, okay? But not the pro-Palestinian guys. These guys are protected just like the LGBT guys, you see? And that level of police protection is being noticed by people. And not just that, it's expensive to do this, right? There are people who are paid off to be there. There are useful idiots who are there. There are people who are getting resources like smoke bombs and professionally made signs and drummers and all sorts of things. It costs money to do this. You try and put something like this together, even for something that's popular, put something like this together. It will cost you thousands of dollars to do this, minimum. Somebody's bankrolling this. And so people are questioning that. And I think it's the government. I think it's us. And I've been saying that. Andy Lee's got the receipts. She says, yeah, it's the NGOs and we can't track it, but it's definitely the NGOs and we pay for the NGOs with our tax dollars. Justin Trudeau funds the NGOs with our tax dollars. So like, would this be easy to stop? Yeah, sure would. Okay. John Paul says, is it me? Is it just my white privilege, speaking, or is this a little more of a national threat than peaceful truckers protesting the government overreach? Where's Trudeau's mounted Gestapo? And Daisy Media says Palestinian demonstrators led by Palestinian Spider-Men are popping off smoke grenades all over downtown Ottawa. And this is absolutely a different feel than the trucker protest. Here we go. So some people were asking, I See Crap Daily says, unfortunately, these are the Liberals' new victim class and NDP professional protesters. So this is a bit of a quandary for the government. Endure the nonstop negative press these clowns are creating or piss off the lunatic base. Problems. There was one, hold on, I've got to find one comment talking about the sound systems and things. Hold on. Here it is. Somebody's asking, Daisy Media, is this planned and permitted to shut down the road? Just looking to put it into context. And Daisy says there was a permit for a march. The sound equipment and smoke grenades are a definite no. The march was supposed to be escorted by the Ottawa police, but the route was changed and the crowd was too big to manage. And somebody says, have they been doing this? Have they been there for months terrorizing the neighborhood? And Daisy says, yes, multiple times per week. So they do this often. And then there's a different footage of the Spider-Man guy climbing up on the roof. And so, I mean, this seems like just a terrible idea, dressed as Spider-Man or not. Ridiculous. What a ridiculous thing to do, honestly. And pretty wild. Here's Daisy again pointing this out. He's on the ground, just talking about this.
Hey, Daisy here. The group of Palestinian protesters has taken Wellington Street, setting off smoke bombs. They've got sound systems and scaffolding in the street here now.
What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Because like Canada used to be peaceful and a place that was not completely taken over by stuff like this. Here is Daisy again. 4 Antifa Blacklock are keeping an eye on the only Canadian flag at the Palestinian protest in Parliament Hill. And so these guys are trying to intimidate this guy. And I can't underscore enough. These are paid for protests. These guys being here is part of that, right? Alex says, this self-proclaimed anti-fascist glob on to any cause and protest. This is who police and politicians are buckling to. Police and politicians work for the people paying for these guys. The politicians work for the same people these guys work for, right? Like the puppeteer pays the political puppet and the Antifa puppet, right? They go back to exactly the same person. That's why the politicians aren't doing anything about this, because they're all paid by the same people. Contrarian says, who is paying for these massive Palestinian protests across Canada? They're bussing people in from all over, plus signs, food, water, other supplies. You try and put something like this together. You will quickly realize how expensive it is, how difficult it is logistically. Putting together a poker game for 15 people is logistically difficult. And I mean, like just getting the food together for that many people, getting the tables put up and whatever. And that's logistically like pretty simple. Like a poker game's easy. 15 people, you probably know them. You know, like it's not all that hard, but it costs money. You know, a poker game will cost you $50. Like if you're hosting, right? Snacks, drinks, all of that other stuff. And it's fun, so it's not a big deal, but like it will cost you money, right? And so logistically, putting together a protest like this, beaucoup de bucks, man. It's a lot of money, and it's not easy, right? And so these people are being motivated not to free Palestine because nobody in Canada genuinely cares about that. I'm sorry. That's not something that's politically a hot topic. Nobody cares. But all of these people are making it look like a whole lot of people do care. Andy Lee says, a continuation of this, who is funding the massive pro-Hamas protest in Canada? I found some of the bigger money answers in screenshots again. So Toronto for Palestine. And she's got another thread. And the other thread is linked here. An answer for you. This guy blocked me. I don't know why. I've never interacted with the guy before. He talks about Canadian politics. And I read through a couple of his things on his feed, and it seemed like he was a pretty reasonable person. I was like, I wonder why you blocked me, dude. Anyway, weird. People block me. I guess I'm on lists. Andy Lee says, an answer for you. National March on Ottawa for Gaza, Saturday at 1 p.m., Parliament Hill. So people, even just putting together these social media costs time and money, right? Toronto for Palestine is one. They're marching in Ottawa, Toronto for Palestine. And here's another one, provide monetary gifts and contributions to support the National March on Ottawa. And here they're selling tickets, $65 each. Scarborough National March on Ottawa. So these guys there's coffers as well. In addition to being funded by NGOs, the NGOs on the front end take money from useful idiots who think that they're supporting Palestine or whatever it is. Samadiyun, this is a big one. This name comes up a lot, and they're doing teach-in for Palestine, and they've got a bunch of different ones across the world. So Sweden, France, Spain, Netherlands, Greece, Deutschland, Germany. So pretty wild, right? And they're all over the place, and this is universal. It seems all West anyway, all across the West. Anti-Imperialist Alliance, ATI Canada. So we're a group of people united in opposition to Canadian imperialism. Join the mass struggle. So Andy Lee at the end here, she kind of sums it up and says, the answer in short is that we've been funding it, you and me, with tax dollars, using a web of non-profit networks which are almost impossible to track, audit, or trace. We're funding anti-imperialist Marxist groups that hate our capitalist system and our country. The only question is whether we will take the steps necessary to ban them from organizing, profiteering, and using our country as a front for terrorists that hate us, our values, and our country. Yep. And the police aren't arresting any of those people. The police aren't doing anything the same way they would respond to people who were protesting for Canada against the Canadian government. They would respond to those people in a very different way, right? Here is 2 minutes, and this is the best damn roofer, and this guy is hilarious. He's super funny, and like I think people like him they have a different makeup than me, or they have a different way of going about things than me, and I think it's great to watch. I think it's so cool. And I mean, even Dacey, he's out there on the street all the time recording and stuff. That's great. I don't do that. But this guy, he just goes in places, and he bothers the hornet's nest, and the hornets come out and try and bother him, and he flips it around on them. But here he takes so like he gets assaulted by a left-wing lunatic, LGBT whatever guy. He's there bothering him, but he didn't do anything physical. He was just saying, like, this is crazy. Like what you people stand for is pretty crazy. And I think that he's correct. And the guy assaults him in front of 3 police officers, and the police officers don't do a damn thing. And that is indicative of what's going on in Canada. If there's a problem, the police officers are supposed to uphold the law. You can't assault people, right? And I mean, like, this is the left engages in, I'm not touching you, you can't hit me. I'm not touching you, you can't hit me. And then when the right is provoked, your reaction is the real action, right? And that's what they're going for. They want you to be angry and provoked. Now, the tables are turned because he's somebody who's like, I'm not going to put up with your bullshit. Tables are turned and the cops don't respond, right? And you got to pay attention to these things, because this is what's coming for everybody. Like, if you stand up and say, that's not happening here, that's not going to happen, you're going to be isolated and they're going to come for you, right? Just like they do nothing to protect the best damn roofer here. Here we go.
And trying to tell me what to do. Welcome to Canada. They can have a transgender stripper go talk to the kids about shaking his bum, but I can't stand here and tell somebody that I think it's inappropriate and that protecting the innocence of children is the right thing to do. So I'm the bad guy here. How many vax you got? Just out of first, it's a question. Boosters. How many boosters you got?
I don't want to be on camera.
I don't care.
Put that away from me. I'm serious.
I'm just asking a question. Well, then get up. Whoa! Assault! Ow! Ah! Can you get him? Oh man, he touched me. My hand hurts. My hand. You see that? Please don't touch us. Why isn't he not being?
It's a ticketed event.
But why isn't he? So if we're following the friggin' rules, why isn't this guy being arrested for grabbing me right now? Oh my God! You want me to catch you off guard? Fuck! So he's allowed to assault me. That you're here. So he just did it. I have it on film. And this is why I won't stop filming, because I was accosted by this gentleman right here in front of 3 police officers that did nothing.
I didn't see.
Do you want me? You can watch it on their Facebook of Mr. Freedom. He grabbed my hand. Is he allowed to touch me? Can I have this man charged with assault? He did. No?
We're not going to do the assault charge right now.
We're not going to. So if I went and grabbed him by the neck, you'd have me arrested in the ground beating the shit out of me, because I was in Ottawa and they pepper sprayed me, get the fuck out of me.
They didn't let me.
You don't have to. I know the end result. Nothing's going to happen to these people. They can expose themselves to children and they can do whatever they want.
I can give you my card.
Please.
You have the video. Send it to me. I'll review it. I can be in touch with you, and we can go from there.
And nothing will happen as usual.
I'm not going to do the assault charge right now. I didn't see it.
Okay, well, we have it live. We can have it.
Is that a legitimate thing? I'm not going to do the assault charge right now because I didn't see it. Man, and if you've got video of it, I don't know, man. Daniel Bulford is responding to this. Retired Alberta butcher gets no jail time for dismembering woman's body. Joseph Donald Skelly, a 69-year-old retired butcher from Beaumont, will not serve jail time for the crime. Oh, phew. Butchers who dismember women, at least they know how to, butcher it correct. So it was done technically well. So no jail time for you. What's going on, though, is if you speak up against the government like Tamara Lich or Chris Barber or the Coots guys, you get jail time, right? If you're an LGBT activist and you assault somebody, I didn't see it. I can't do anything about that right now, right? I don't know why this butcher is shared jail time. Violence, right? He was violent enough and he didn't mean it or something. Daniel Bulford says 2 years house arrest for dismemberment of his son's murder victim, but James Sowery, 10 months jail for hitting a pylon. Kristen Nagel fined $47,000 for outdoor protest. Crown seeking 10 years for convoy organizers. Revolving door for violence. Hammer and sickle for dissidents. Dismemberment of his son's murder victim. So his son murdered the person and he butchered? That seems strange. Wouldn't you be an accessory after the fact? Wouldn't it be murder to accessory to murder? Isn't that bad? Not in Canada. In Canada, if you rip the LGBT flag out of somebody's hand, that's it. That's a hate crime and you're going to prison for life, buddy. Life. But if you cover up your son's murder, that's okay. It's all right. Liz Truss is responding. So I think that the entire way our justice system is being abused and utilized, weaponized against Canadians is really scary. And I think that we should probably do something about that because it's going to end poorly for us. Very, very poorly for us. Liz Truss, who's the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, is coming back swinging. I think she wants the top job again. She's going to have to fight Boris Johnson for it. And she says, I urge the government to back my bill this Friday. It will protect children from body-altering decisions. It will mean only biological females can access girls' and women's toilets as well as sports. Guidance is not enough. The law needs to change. Yep. So that's interesting. Within the context of the LGBT world and all of the rest of it, people are waking up and they're realizing that we need to actually enshrine this in legal language that is not easily dismissed. Bill Tufts is highlighting what's going on with virtue signaling using city funds. And maybe they'll just take the money and put up CCTV cameras, but I hope not. Bill says Alberta communities are painting over the LGBT crosswalks and taking down gay UN and WEF flags from town halls. Drumheller Council asked to reconsider crosswalk policy. So that's good, right? That's a good thing that they're removing these wasteful virtue signals from the public properties and public spaces because it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate to use public funds for that. It's not appropriate to virtue signal like that. And people are sick and tired of it. I'm so sick and tired of it. I was sick and tired of it at day one. I thought this is too much emphasis to put on people's sex choices, honestly. Andrew Lawton is responding. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.